Once the brooding soul of a place in the sun, now remembered as a symbol of fragile brilliance, his chiseled jaw gave way to haunted eyes that reshaped masculinity on screen. Gone at 45, Clift's legacy endures in every role that dares to show men as broken, beautiful, and deeply human. Like a leather-bound novel, Van Heflin's strength matured with every wrinkle. His rugged charm and shame gave way to quieter convictions off-screen. From hard-edged hero to thoughtful patriarch, he reminded Hollywood that masculinity isn't noise, but the wisdom earned in silence. Known for his boy-next-door warmth in 30 Seconds Over Tokyo, Johnson's golden grin aged into a quiet grace. By his 80s, he embraced solitude, far from studio lights, his red hair thinned, but his gentle presence reminded generations that charm need not shout to endure. Samson and Delilah once defined mythic masculinity. By 86, Mature traded sword and sandal roles for afternoons on the golf course, joking he was retired from vanity. His barrel chest softened, but his self-deprecating wit carved out a new kind of strength, one that laughed last. Once the swashbuckler who defined silver screen masculinity, Tyrone Power died at 44 mid-scene, sword in hand. From sculpted icon to a legend sealed in celluloid, his brief, bold career reminds us that legacy isn't length. It's how fiercely the flame burned while it lived. Like a pirate shipwrecked by time, Errol Flynn's charm lives on, if weathered by scandal and storms. From the daring captain in Captain Blood to a cautionary tale of excess, his life asks what manhood means beyond swagger and swordplay. Remember his crisp suit in North by Northwest? At 82, Cary Grant left behind more than elegance. He embraced fatherhood late, wore wrinkles with wit, and showed that charisma matures best when it's not chasing youth, but savoring the moment. The Pink Panther's gentleman thief once charmed with sly grace. At 73, David Niven faced illness with the same poise he brought to the screen, his voice fading, but never his dignity, reminding us that true elegance doesn't age, it endures. Once the sun-scorched cynic of the bridge on the River Kwai, now remembered as a restless soul who sought meaning beyond the frame. From sculpted matinee idol to world-weary conservationist, Holden's legacy lies in trading hollow glamour for fierce advocacy before his story ended at 63. Like a well-worn saddle, Glenn Ford aged with quiet resilience. His steel-eyed roles in Gilda gave way to years mentoring young actors. The once lean gunslinger grew into a soft-spoken elder, showing that strength isn't volume, but steadiness earned over 90 years in and out of spotlight. Remember his dragon dagger charm in Some Like It Hot? By 80, Tony Curtis swapped stardom for painting in Nevada, hands once styled by Hollywood now smudged with color. From studio polish to self-made, his journey redefined allure, not in image, but in fearless reinvention. Before we continue these amazing celebrity transformations, here's a quick challenge for you. Can you subscribe to ThenVsNow Legends in the next 5 seconds? Smash that subscribe button and join us on this journey through time with your favorite stars. Chairman of the board once crooned America's desires in For Here to Eternity. By 82, Sinatra's piercing blue eyes dimmed, but his voice never lost its ache. From tailored tux to trembling hand, he embodied a masculinity that aged with vulnerability and never lost its swing. Once the velvet-voiced flirt of the Rat Pack, Dean Martin crooned with a drink in hand and charm to spare. By 78, his tuxedo gave way to seclusion, but his voice lingered, reminding us that cool isn't clung to, it's carried quietly into twilight. Like a Hollywood facade stripped bare, Rock Hudson's leading man polish gave way to painful truth. From romantic icon to an early face of the AIDS crisis, his final years reframed masculinity, less about armor, more about honesty and human cost. Remember his defiant cry in Planet of the Apes? By 84, Charlton Heston traded epics for advocacy. Facing Alzheimer's with the same gravity he brought to the screen, his voice slower, but his convictions still carved in stone. The King and I made him a monarch of stage and screen. At 65, Yul Brynner's final act was a televised plea against smoking, bald, bold, and burning with purpose. His legacy? Less in costume, more in courage and candor. Once the velvet-voiced enigma of a star is born, now remembered as an actor who brought restraint to stormy roles. His chiseled elegance aged into a lined gravitas, revealing that true charisma lies not in posture but presence. Mason's legacy still whispers with quiet, timeless control. Like a lighthouse battered by storms, Widmark weathered decades of fame. His sinister grin and kiss of death hardened into stoic wisdom. As his sharp features softened, he became a vocal defender of civil liberties, proving that edge can evolve into principle without losing its light. Remember his fierce cry of, "I'm Spartacus?" By 100, Douglas spoke with a tremor, yet still fought for justice with the same fire. From cleft-chin gladiator to stroke survivor and philanthropist, his body slowed, but his will stood unbroken, a symbol of resilience over spectacle. As Hamlet, he redefined Shakespeare for the screen. By 82, Olivier's once flawless diction gave way to frailty, but his presence remained thunderous. From stage god to reflective elder, he reminded us that mastery isn't eternal youth. It's the courage to age with purpose and craft intact. Once the rumpled rebel in MASH*, Elliot Gould defied clean-cut Hollywood norms. Now 86, his silhouette leans more professor than provocateur, but his wit remains unfiltered, reminding us that relevance can come not from reinvention, but refusal to conform. Like a cannon fired once and echoing forever, George C. Scott's Patton still reverberates. By 71, the glare softened, the voice graveled, but he rejected awards, not integrity, showing that true defiance isn't loud. It's principled, even in retreat. Remember the menace in A Clockwork Orange? At 82, Malcolm McDowell now voices cartoon villains with gleeful bite. From angular youth to silver-bearded sage, he turned shock into satire, proving edge ages well when wielded with self-awareness. Logan's Run made him the face of futuristic escape. Now 83, Michael York quietly lives with amyloidosis, speaking out with grace. Once chiseled and wide-eyed, now wise and weathered, he reframes strength as something steadier, less sprint, more quiet endurance. Once the confident lead in Marcus Welby, MD, now 85 and savoring slower days as a storyteller and family man. From chiseled charm to bearded grace, Brolin's journey maps a shift from primetime prestige to quiet legacy, proof that presence deepens when ego makes room for wisdom. Like a cracked mirror, Robert Blake's legacy reflects both brilliance and brokenness. His piercing stare and Beretta softened with age, yet controversy shadowed his later years. From leading man to recluse, his life challenged the myth of stardom as redemption and left questions unresolved. Remember his steel-eyed stare in Jaws? By 75, Scheider had stepped off the blockbuster stage, his lean frame weathered but his artistry intact. Choosing indie films and personal projects, he showed that after the shark came still waters, where depth mattered more than scale. Midnight Cowboy made him an icon of raw vulnerability. Now 86, Jon Voight remains a complex figure, his once boyish face now lined by decades of reinvention. From outsider rebel to outspoken elder, his path reveals how public personas fracture, yet still seek to mean something. Like an old clock with cracked glass, Donald Pleasance ticked with eerie precision. From Halloween's haunted psychiatrist to 76-year-old character Sage, his gaze grew softer, but his presence stayed uncanny, proof that subtlety leaves the deepest imprint. Remember his lumbering charm in Young Frankenstein? By 71, Peter Boyle swapped monster makeup for sitcom wit in Everybody Loves Raymond, from broad-shouldered parody to cranky patriarch, showing that comedy, like character, deepens with creases. The $6 Million Man once leapt tall heights in slow motion. Now 86, Lee Majors walks steadier, speaks slower, but still brings gravity to genre cameos, reminding us that strength evolves from spectacle to steady presence. Once the restless fugitive of the fugitive, now remembered as a man who wore weariness like armor. His rugged jaw and heavy gaze aged faster than his years, gone at 48. Yet in that brief arc, Jansen captured the ache of masculine burden, unheroic, hunted, and deeply human. Like an ancient bell, James Earl Jones's voice deepened even as time weathered his frame. From Darth Vader's thunder to gentle stage readings at 90, he proved that power isn't volume, but resonance. His body slowed, but his voice remained a pillar, anchoring dignity across generations. Remember his stride in Shaft, cool, fierce, unstoppable? By 80, Roundtree walked softer, but with purpose, mentoring young artists. From leather jacket icon to silver-haired elder, he traded swagger for substance, helping redefine black masculinity beyond toughness and tropes. As Cheyenne, Clint Walker once towered over primetime, 6 feet 6 inches of frontier strength. By 90, his broad shoulders had slumped, but his quiet pride never bent. More than brawn, he left behind a model of manhood rooted in stoicism, loyalty, and a gentleness rarely written for giants. The man from UNCLE once made Robert Vaughn the slick face of Cold War cool. By 83, his sharp features gave way to seasoned calm, his voice more reflective than rapid fire. Legacy? A diplomat of style whose intellect always outpaced the gadgets. Once born for a single mission, George Lazenby chose freedom over franchise. Now 85, with white hair and wry wisdom, he embraces his brief spotlight as liberation, not loss, reminding us that masculinity means knowing when to walk away. Like a poker chip worn smooth by time, Telly Savalas went from Kojak's lollipop cop to Vegas lounge staple. By 72, the swagger slowed, but his voice stayed rich, proof that presence doesn't fade, it just changes pitch. Columbo's wrinkled raincoat became Peter Falk's armor of empathy. By 83, memory dimmed but his warmth never wavered. From tousled curls to a gentler face, he showed us that mystery isn't solved in haste, but in the human details. Once the swaggering anti-hero of Escape from New York, now 74 and savoring mountain life with a silver beard and quiet charm. From chiseled rebel to seasoned craftsman, Russell's path shows that defiance matures too. Less about breaking rules, more about living them on your own terms. Like jazz played on a typewriter, Jeff Goldblum remains unpredictably elegant. From Jurassic Park's chaos theorist to a 72-year-old style icon and bandleader, his angular frame now wrapped in color and wit, he proves eccentricity isn't a phase, it's a refined way of being. Remember the red Ferrari and mustache in Magnum, P.I.? Now 80, Selleck trades car chases for avocado farming and family time. His signature charm softened into a sturdy calm, still upright, still principled, reminding us that ruggedness, when rooted in care, never goes out of style. In Who Framed Roger Rabbit, he made cartoon mayhem feel grounded and real. By 71, Hoskins had stepped away, his stocky frame slowed by illness but never dulled by fame. A working-class hero to the end, he proved that grit, not gloss, is what carries a story and a man through time. Arthur May Dudley wore the lovable robe of the 1980s. By 66, illness had stilled his hands and softened his voice, but not his spark. From cheeky charm to quiet grace, he reminded us that humor, like music, plays even in silence. Remember Lieutenant Dan in Forrest Gump? Now 70, Gary Sinise champions wounded veterans with fierce devotion. His once angular frame is more grounded now, trading scripts for service, proving that real heroes are built off screen, not written. Like a weathered oak, Forrest Whitaker has stood with quiet force. From the last King of Scotland to global activism at 64, he's redefined masculinity, not loud, but listening, not carved, but rooted in empathy and slow-burning power. Footloose made Kevin Bacon a symbol of restless rebellion. Now 67, his face carries more story than spotlight, still playing, still evolving. From angular youth to soulful elder, he reminds us that movement matters, but meaning lasts. Once the steely intensity behind the right stuff, now 74, and leaning into roles that question rather than command. From sharp jawline to weathered stare, Harris embodies masculinity in transition, less about control, more about consequence, always chasing truth over applause. Like a weathered oak, John Goodman grew broader, then wiser, his roots deep in everyman roles. From Roseanne's blue-collar backbone to dramatic turns at 73, his frame may have shifted, but his presence holds steady, proof that vulnerability and volume can share the same voice. Remember his electric menace in Goodfellas? By his 60s, Liotta had carved a second act in indie thrillers, his once boyish edge replaced with gravel and grit. Gone at 67, he left behind not just fire, but nuance, showing that even volatility can grow into something quiet and earned. As Kyle Reese in The Terminator, Bean gave 80s action its aching heart. Now 68, semi-retired and living far from Hollywood's heat, his features lined but still alert, he's proof that not all heroes burn out. Some choose to step away, redefining strength as knowing when to stop running. Once the icy seducer in Pretty in Pink, James Spader now, at 65, trades sleek suits for enigmatic grit in roles like The Blacklist. His once clean jawline now bearded, he's evolved from teen villainy to complex maturity, proving mystery deepens with mileage. Hair-launched Treat Williams is a free-spirited firebrand. By 72, before his tragic passing, he'd become a calm presence in small-town dramas. Less about flash, more about heart. His legacy? A life that matured with meaning, not just momentum. Like a bruised canvas, Mickey Rourke's path from 9.5 weeks to the wrestler at 72 is scarred, bold, and defiantly human. Once smooth and brooding, now layered and lived in, he reshaped masculinity from pretty face to persevering soul. The Thornbirds crowned Richard Chamberlain TV's romantic priest. Now 91, silver-haired and serene, he lives far from the spotlight. His once pin-up looks replaced by quiet dignity, showing that grace lingers long after glamour fades. Once the cool skeptic in Jurassic Park, now 77 and tending vineyards in New Zealand, Sam Neill swapped global fame for grounded living. His angular features have softened, but his humor ripened with age, reminding us that evolution isn't just for dinosaurs, but for the men who outlast them. Like a mixtape left on rewind, John Cusack loops between eras, Say Anything's boombox rebel, now 59, more elusive, more introspective. His soft features now shadowed by time. He resists nostalgia's trap, proving that some icons age by stepping out of frame, not freezing in it. Remember his glitter and menace in the Rocky Horror Picture Show? Now 79 and wheelchair-bound after a stroke, Curry continues to appear with quiet wit. Though the voice is softened and the gaze turned inward, his presence still pulses. Camp turned courage without apology. In Blade Runner, he gave androids a soul. By 75, Rutger Hauer's once sculpted frame bore the weight of years and roles chosen on principle. A Dutch rebel to the end, he turned charisma into critique, leaving behind not just a career, but a challenge. What do we do with our time? Once the brooding Mr. Darcy in a soaked white shirt, Colin Firth now, at 64, carries quieter strength in roles and demeanor alike. His crisp jawline softened, his voice steadier. He's proof that restraint, not rebellion, can redefine romantic legacy. Like a cathedral bell, Jeremy Irons' voice aged but never cracked. From the Lion King's villain to philosophical elder at 76, his angular charm gave way to austere grace, reminding us that allure matures best when tethered to thought. The Usual Suspects gave Gabriel Byrne an air of shadowed intrigue. At 75, his features have weathered into quiet gravitas, less slick, more soulful. Now writing and producing, he's embraced storytelling as legacy, not spotlight. Remember his quiet force in Schindler's List? Now at 73, Liam Neeson's once grieving warrior has become a symbol of late-age action grit. His frame still towers, but grief and grace now share the stage, showing that toughness can carry tenderness. Once the wiry wildcard of Reservoir Dogs, now 64, and choosing roles that echo his quieter convictions. The sharpness in his features has blurred into a thoughtful stillness, proof that rebellion doesn't fade, it matures. Roth reminds us that defiance can whisper and still be heard. Like a Havana cigar aged in cedar, Andy Garcia's presence mellowed but never lost its fire. From The Godfather Part 3's fierce air to a 69-year-old maestro of quiet roles, his once stern features now convey warmth, masculinity no longer defined by control, but by cadence and care. Remember Star Trek's Captain Picard, all poise and command? Now 85, Stewart leads with grace off-screen, advocating for mental health and theater arts. His regal posture is curved, but his voice still steadies a room, proving that true captains age, but never relinquish presence. As Boys in the Hood's furious styles, he redefined black fatherhood. Now 64, with a salt and pepper beard and gravitas honed by decades, Fishburne mentors more than he performs, his legacy not just in lines delivered, but in the silence that teaches what strength truly means. Once the fast-talking firecracker into Wong Fu, John Leguizamo at 65 now blends satire with activism. His youthful edge now sharpened by purpose, he's traded punchlines for platforms, redefining presence as power that educates, not just entertains. Batman and Robin cast Chris O'Donnell as Hollywood's golden boy. Now 55, with softer features and steadier roles in NCIS: he's embraced consistency over celebrity, showing that real strength may lie in staying power, not spotlight. Like a phoenix in perpetual flight, Nicolas Cage has soared, spiraled, and survived. At 61, his once angular charisma carries chaotic wisdom. Whether in cult films or quiet roles, he reminds us legacy isn't polish, it's persistence and reinvention. Heather's crowned Christian, Slater, the smirking rebel of Gen X. Now 55, his once razor-cut jaw softens under a seasoned smile. Still working, still evolving, he's turned teen angst into adult nuance, proof that edge, when tempered, becomes depth. Once the brooding enigma in Full Metal Jacket, now 66, and channeling his energy into painting and directing. His intense gaze softened, but his passion deepened. D'Onofrio trades on camera turmoil for creative calm, embodying a masculinity shaped more by introspection than impulse. Like a well-worn leather boot, Viggo Mortensen's journey is rugged yet refined. From the Lord of the Rings' heroic Aragorn to a 66-year-old poet and painter, his weathered face tells stories of battles won within, proof that strength grows from empathy, not just endurance. Remember his fierce rage in Gladiator? Now 61, Crowe trades the arena for music studios and vineyards. His once hard features now carry a quiet determination, showing that power can shift from dominance to creation, an evolution from warrior to artist. Fight Club made him the voice of discontent and chaos. Now 55, Norton channels that restless energy into activism and producing thoughtful films. His youthful sharpness softened into deliberate calm, illustrating how intensity can evolve into mindful leadership. Once the brooding enigma of Gladiator, Joaquin Phoenix now at 50 channels intensity into activism and art. His sharp jaw softened into quiet conviction, proving masculinity can be as much about empathy as explosive brilliance. Remember Memento's fractured mind? At 57, Guy Pearce's rugged features carry a calm resilience. He's traded frenetic puzzles for layered, reflective roles, showing that depth often grows from patience, not pace. Once the polished rogue and the talented Mr. Ripley, Jude Law at 52 now embraces maturity with roles that blend charm and complexity. His once chiseled features softened by life, he embodies masculinity that's reflective, not just radiant. Like a shadow cast in bold strokes, Benicio del Toro at 58 blends grit with vulnerability. From traffic's intensity to quiet activism, his rugged lines have deepened, revealing a masculinity that balances toughness with conscience. ThenVsNow Legends is feeling a bit lonely. 99% of you haven't subscribed yet. Show us some love and hit that subscribe button so we can keep bringing you the jaw-dropping journeys of your favorite stars. And if you're as fascinated by then and now glow-ups as we are, check out our previous videos. Trust us, they're totally worth your time and ours too.